Controlling animated rotations for an articulated hierarchy such as this can be challenging if you're not familiar with the way that reference coordinate systems work. To illustrate this, I'll grab the Rotate tool, and I'm in the default view coordinate system. I'll turn this robot turntable about 45 degrees. And what I want to do here is I want to turn the elbow down. As soon as I select that with the Rotate tool in View Coordinate System, you'll see that the Rotate gizmo is not aligned with the object. I'll get in a little bit closer on that. And if I try to rotate this in any direction, I'm not able to turn it so that it rotates directly down. There's no way that I can achieve that result in the View Coordinate System. And that's because the rotation axes are currently locked to the world. I have other options, however. The one that most people use is local coordinates. I'll go up to the reference coordinate system and choose local. And now I can actually turn the object in the direction that I want, because local coordinates are a temporary reference coordinate system that's locked to the object. And that seems okay at first, but local coordinates can be problematic. For one thing, I can't see the absolute rotation value when I'm in local mode. You'll see that as I turn it, I'm getting a numerical readout on the transform gizmo that's telling me the offset value that I've rotated it away from its starting position. However, there's no way for me to find the absolute rotation value in local mode. What I'll have to do to see a rotation value is go into parent mode. And now what I'm going to see is rotation values relative to the object's parent. And you'll see down here in the transform type in dialog, I've got an X rotation of 89. I can also right-click on any one of the transform tools and open up a transform type in dialog. And this is a little bit more convenient for me. I can type in 90 degrees exactly, and that's 90 degrees of rotation relative to the object's parent, which in this case is this robot shoulder object. So you'd think that parent rotation is what you want, but it's still not quite right. To illustrate this, I'll rotate this wrist object a little bit, and now you'll see that I'm not able to actually rotate it around its own coordinate system. If I try to turn this, it's sort of weaseling around and spinning around. You think that then in this case we should just switch back to local mode, and that would probably work. Let's try that. I'll go back to local coordinate systems, and you'll see now the rotate gizmo is aligned with the object, and it looks okay. So far, so good. However, it's not okay, because as soon as I try to keyframe this, I'm going to have problems. And this is where people really get tripped up in 3D. This is one of the most common problems that people have when trying to animate a character or other articulated hierarchy. I'll go down here to my key tools and turn on Auto Key, and I'll go to, let's say, frame 30. And in local mode, I'll just spin this around to be about 200 and something degrees. I'll turn off Auto Key and rewind and play this back, and you'll see that I get this very strange result. It's not spinning around the axis that I wanted it to. It looked okay when I was in the viewport and turning it, but as soon as I try to animate this, I've got problems. This is not a bug. This is the way that all 3D software is designed. And if you're not careful, you'll run into this problem. If I go back to parent mode, this might be a clear explanation of why this is happening. If I rotate in just one axis in parent mode, I can see rotation values. And notice, although I'm rotating only in X, all three of these values are changing over here. So that's the problem, is that we can't use local mode because interpolations will get messed up, and we can't use parent mode because we can't actually rotate it in the direction that we want here. The solution is we need to use another mode, which is called gimbal. I'll go up here to reference coordinate system and choose gimbal. Now when I rotate in gimbal mode, it's only rotating in one axis at a time. And that's really good, because now if I animate this, it's only going to rotate in one axis, the one that I've chosen, and I won't get that strange behavior that we saw a moment ago. I'll delete these keyframes down here and start over. I'll just select those keyframes and press the delete key on the keyboard. So I'm in gimbal mode, and so far so good as far as I'm only getting one axis of rotation at a time, but I'm not able to rotate it in the direction that I need to. And the final linchpin to this whole problem is I need to change the rotation order. 3ds Max, like most 3D programs, calculates the rotations in linear sequence. In other words, it's calculating the X rotations, then the Y rotations, and finally Z rotations. What I want to do is I want to give priority to the Z axis here. To change the rotation order, I'll select the object and go to the Motion panel up here. And in the PRS parameters section, I want to choose Rotation. Then I've got the Euler parameters here. And I want to change the axis order to give priority to the Z-axis. In this pull-down list, I'll choose ZXY. And although my object has turned in a different direction now, I've actually got exactly what I need now, because I can spin it around Z, and you'll see only Z is updating. And if I do it this way, then I can keyframe this exactly the way I need to. I'll turn Auto Key back on. I'll go to frame 30 and turn the object, and now you'll see it's spinning in the direction that I need it to. Gimbal mode is essential for controlling rotations. But gimbal mode alone is not good enough. You'll also need to, in many cases, change the order of rotations to give priority to the most important rotation axis. That's a little bit of obscure information. That's something that's not quite obvious in the interface, and it may not really be covered very well in most training materials. But this is really life or death for creating convincing animation that doesn't spin around in uncontrollable ways.